Hello and welcome to God Allows U-Turns. My name is Sarah. If this is the first time that you find yourself listening to this channel, I would just want to tell you that this channel is basically about when you find yourselves in life's crossroads, or perhaps you've gone too far in your life and you want to start all over again, but you don't know how or where, or even if God will accept you after certain things that you've happened in your life. How do you move on and pass on through all the hurt and pain that you've gone through? I basically started this channel as well because I began to read comments about skeptics, about people who've been hurt by the church, and they don't know how to start all over again. They are hurt. They are skeptical about going to a church. They don't know which church to start attending, and sometimes they don't even understand what the Bible really is trying to say in different stories or things. But I want this channel to be mostly for people who don't know Jesus and want to know him on a deeper level and want to understand what is Christianity all about. What are these Christians all of a sudden trying to tell us how to live our lives, and why do they seem so hypocritical sometimes? And I just want to show you that things are not the way that you think they are, and perhaps if they are, that has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with the love that Christ has for you. In my last videos, I spoke about the different things that had happened in the Hillsong church. There was a scandal that happened in the church, and I discussed it. I gave you my opinion on what was going on. I also gave you facts about the stories that were going out there in the media. But today, I also want to touch a little bit on that, but I don't want you to think that I'm trying to beat Pastor Carl Lentz down and I'm trying to judge him or the whole Hillsong situation. I brought up the facts so that you will know what was going on, and the reason why I talk about this is because there are many lessons that we can learn from this experience that happened. Okay, this was a very, very bad experience that touched the lives of many Christians, but there are many lessons that we can learn, and not only from the pastoral point of view or the church or just pointing out their mistakes, but also how can we grow from this, and how can we help others, including ourselves, if we are going through something like this. And when I say something like this, I mean a situation in which Carling's mistress found herself in. I want to just tell you briefly, when this affair happened with Carling's, I think I told you already that it was during the pandemic, and although some of us found it strange that he chose this time to, be unfaithful to his wife and just behave, in a way that he shouldn't have. A lot of people did the same thing. A lot of people that had left their bad habits behind, these bad habits started to crawl back on them. For instance, if they were smokers before, they kind of began smoking again. If they were drinkers or dealing with alcoholism issues, then it kind of creeped up back on them, and including people with problems watching pornography, and people that had problem with overeating, and just a lot of bad habits began to creep up on homes and destroying families. Anxiety, depression, lack of sleep, stress. And I don't know if you noticed, but every time that you would go to either a pharmacy or you would go to Walmart or you would go to these stores, they were covered with all of these gummies and what it seemed to be natural remedies to stress and lack of sleep. And more than ever, um, the the amount of patients that came to psychologist's office and psychiatrist's office doubled, tripled. Counselors were having long lines of people wanting to be, um, you know, they didn't know how to deal with the situation of their anxiety at home. How do I teach my kids? I can't, I this is the first time that I'm ever put in a situation where I have to deal with my husband 24/7, you know. But you have to give yourself some credit because this is the first generation of parents that get to teach our kids this way, you know, the first generation of teachers who are teaching kids this way, you know, in through the internet and this viral attempt to educate our children. And this is new for our kids as well. So we are all in this together, and we've all been very nervous and stressed, and rightfully so, you know. Um, Christians are not, you know, exempt from this. We've been feeling this way as well, but you know, we put our trust in Jesus, and we hope and pray that you do too. It's my hope, it's my prayer, because if I feel this peace in my heart, I want you to feel it too. And one of the reasons why I write my illnesses in my credentials in the description box is because I want you to know and understand, if she did it, you know, if she can sit up and talk about how great Jesus is and what Jesus has done in her life, then I can do it too. Because guys, let me tell you, sometimes my body hurts from the moment I get up in the morning, and it's a battle with my body, with my skin, with my bones. You know, they hurt sometimes from the time that I get up, and so I have to really give it to the Lord and pray and take all my vitamins and minerals and just, you know, I trust in God. I read His Word, and I just gain strength from it, because sometimes if it were up to me, I would probably stay in bed and be like, oh, my body hurts too much. But the our victory is going against to what our body feels. If your body feels all yucky and that just wants to stay in bed or sitting all day, try to do the opposite of what your body feels like doing, and you will find victory in that. And I think I got a little bit off topic here with what I was trying to say with the Hillsong situation. But my point that I wanted to make was that when Carl Lentz did this, you know, he left his home without his wedding ring, and he went to this park, and he met with this lady, and this young lady who I've seen her Instagram post, and I think that she is very pretty. I think she's very talented, and she seems smart. When Carl Lentz was caught by the church, he apologized, and in his apology, he kind of made it seem that this was a one-time thing that he had done. It was a oops mistake type of thing, and that his goal was to get back with his wife, and he was going to leave his ministry because he wanted to make things right with his wife. But when he did this, his lover decided that she was going to go public with what happened between him and her. But a lot of people thought that the reason why she did this was out of spite, and was because she wanted to be famous. She wanted to make some money by going on Good Morning America, by going on Vanity Fair, The Sun, and other tabloidy type of, you know, magazines to tell her story. But when I saw her interview in Good Morning America, and I read some of her other interviews, I came to the conclusion personally that I don't think she went to the media because she wanted money or she wanted fame. I think she was hurt because she was in love with Carl, and Carl's excuse and his apology was kind of very dismissive towards her. Never mentioned her, and only um, kind of made her seem like she was just a mistake in his life. And I guess you can say that yes, she was a jilted woman. She wanted to clarify the situation, and it was because of her that we were able to know and learn that Carl Lentz had been having an affair for several months, and that they both told each other that they loved each other, and that she was very invested in this relationship, even though she knew that he was married. But we have to understand one tiny thing here. She was not a Christian. She was a Muslim. And I'm not trying to excuse her, because Muslims do frown on adultery as well. But what I'm trying to say here is that she was not one of those, what you called a practicing Muslim. She was just, she was Muslim because she was born in the Middle East, and she was under that culture and custom, but it wasn't because she would practice their religion. In fact, several years earlier, she had visited um, Hillsong and with a friend, and in one of her interviews, she said that she was considered Muslim, but she was open to other religions as well. She wanted to know what Carl believed. But after what happened, she got an impression that Hillsong was just a money machine that was using Carl to get celebrities into the church. And along with a whole bunch of things that she said about Carl, but it is to be expected from a woman that was in love and thought that he was going to leave his wife for her. I imagine that's what she was thinking this whole time, and some men will make it seem as though they will do that and keep the woman interested in it. And I know that you'll say he was married and she has no excuse, but you have to understand here that the one that searched for her was him, and she was not a Christian, so she was not behaving as one. And we are living in times when people have open marriages, and it's very normal. It's very normal for a person to have 2 and 3 people in their bedroom as they're married, because they want to experiment and they want to explore. Because after a few years of marriage, the marriage is, I guess, turns a little sour or just stale, and they want to spice it up, and the best way to do it is to add a third person into the marriage, and they realize later that it's a mistake. So for her to come to this conclusion and to fall in love with Carl wasn't too far-fetched. In fact, what makes me think about this is that what if Carl had left his home that day and would have seen this lady at the park and would have said to her, after she said to him that I'm Muslim, what about if he had invited her to his church and be like, well, I'm a pastor of Hillsong Church, and I would love it if you come and visit us and meet my wife and my family, and perhaps you would like to accept Jesus as your Savior, and things would have turned out completely different from there. But he decided to turn it into a flirtatious encounter, and it went downhill from there. But I just want you to know that this woman, her name is, I was looking at her name, is her first name is Ranin, and Ranin, she has the same opportunity that we have to make Jesus first in our lives. In other words, it's not too late for her. She's not a lost cause. She's not a whore that she's been described to. I've seen her comments right after this happened, and it's been terrible, the comments that some of the Christians leave in her comment section, calling her a whore, a homewrecker, calling her all these nasty names. And what are you going to gain by doing that? How is that person, Ranin, it's her name, how is she going to have a good example of us Christians when she's caught doing this and we already are insulting her? We already putting her down, when in reality I think that she deserves our compassion, just like Jesus would have done it for her. And I think that Lentz is going to pay a price, one-on-one with Jesus, in his relationship with Jesus. And he knows what his pastoral responsibility is in front of God for the flock that he, influences in the wrong way. So that is between him and God. And believe me, pastors do have a big responsibility for their churches to God, and they know that they have that is tough for them, that is an area that they really have to be very strict and strong spiritually to be able to lead their flock and be able to make them grow and help them grow in Christ. But I want to give you an example of the way we ought to feel about this woman, about any woman that we know that has a bad reputation. It could be because this person, it's a woman that has been labeled in your job. It's a woman that has been labeled in church, in school, by the press. It could be a woman that fell from grace and everybody sort of started, pointing fingers at her, and she's trying to get up and she's trying to dust herself up and start again, and it's becoming to be so impossible and so hard that she's about to give up and say, well, if everybody says I'm this horrible person, if everybody thinks I'm this horrible woman, then I must be, then that's what I must be, and there is no help for me. Jesus will not forgive me. These people won't let me go. They have put this label on me, and they will never forgive me for what I've done. There are women out there that are feeling this way, and not they don't know where are the people, that they wanted to find that forgiveness from. That's the reason they went to perhaps to church, or they went to you, because they want to clean themselves. They want to know how to start all over again. And they come to us because they feel like we're the ones that can help them. Okay, we have something special that we can provide for them. And here I want to give you a quick example in the Bible of what Jesus did to this woman, okay? How he treated her, how he forgave her, and it's so beautiful, the story. And it's in the book of John, and John is one of Jesus' disciples, and he's been called one of the, those that love Jesus a lot. He's been known for that. But in here in John chapter 8, we see in, let's see here, in verse 13, it tells us something that happened. And I'm sorry, it's in verse 1. Okay, I'm very old-fashioned. I have my Bible here with me, so I'm going to read you the story, and please listen to it because it's very, very beautiful what happens here. It says, "But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives at sunrise. He arrived in the temple courtyard again. All the people gathered around him there. He sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman. She had been caught in adultery. They made her stand in front of the group. They said to Jesus, 'Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. And in the law, Moses commanded us to kill such women by throwing stones at them. Now, what do you say?' Now, verse 6 says that they were trying to trap Jesus with that question. They wanted to have a reason to bring charges against him. In other words, they brought this woman to Jesus, right? This woman who had been caught in adultery. Now, adultery is no piece of cake here. You know, adultery is something that destroys families, destroys the covenant that you have between your husband and yourself, and is a very destructive sin, a very destructive sexual sin. So the law of Moses said that if a woman committed adultery, she needed to be stoned to death. So they brought her to Jesus and be like, well, what are you going to say? You know, you can't go against the law. The law says that she must be put to death. What are you going to do about that? So Jesus says that he bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. They kept asking him questions. So he stood up and he said to them, 'Has any of you not sinned?' That was the question he said. 'Then you be the first to throw a stone at her.'" Okay. Before he did this, it says here that Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. Kind of strange that Jesus chose to do that, okay? And then he tells them, "Has any of you ever sinned?" And then he says, "Because then you be the first to throw a stone at her." Okay? If you've never sinned, then go ahead, throw a stone at her. And then it says that Jesus started to write with his finger in the sand again. Now, it says that those who heard that he had said began to go away. They left one at a time, the older ones first. Soon only Jesus was left. The woman was still standing there. Jesus stood up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? Hasn't anyone found you guilty?" Where are the ones that are accusing you? Jesus is telling you, where are they? And so the woman says, "No one, sir." "Then I don't find you guilty either." Jesus says, "Go now, live your life of sin." Okay, so this is what was so beautiful about this, is that, Jesus was able to follow the law and at the same time act on his grace, because, and if we go to, let's see, I think it's Deuteronomy, which is in the Old Testament, Deuteronomy verse 17, okay, chapter 17 verse 6, okay, and in verse 6 it says this, it says, "The witness of 2 or 3 people is required to put someone to death. No one can be put to death because of what only one witness says. It needs the witnesses of 2 or 3 people. The witnesses must throw the first stones, then the rest of the people must also throw stones. get rid of that evil person. So in the eyes of these Pharisees, this woman was evil. She deserved to be stoned. And so they brought her to Jesus to stone her to death. This woman is a whore. She needs to be stoned to death. She's been caught in adultery. She's been caught with another man. And back then, that was horrendous, And the law, I just wrote you what the law said in Deuteronomy, that women such as these and that acts such as these needed to be stoned. The person needed to be stoned and put to death. Okay? So how was Jesus going to accomplish this without breaking the law? Well, clearly says here in Deuteronomy that you needed to have a witness. You needed to have 2 or more people accusing you in order for you to be stoned to death. But Jesus, as he's writing with his finger in the sand, and some people say, that we have different teachers of the word and theologians that say different things. But some say that Jesus was writing down the sins of the people that were there, of the Pharisees, because the Pharisees love to accuse. And so Jesus was writing the sins of the people that were there. And the reasons they came to that conclusion is because if you go to the book of Jeremiah, which is one of the prophets of the Bible, the book of Jeremiah, and you read the verse 13, please listen to this, okay? It says, Lord, you are Israel's only hope. Everyone who deserts you will be put to shame. Then it says, the names of those who turn away from you will be listed among the dead. Lord, they have deserted you. You are the spring of water that gives life. So here, it says here that the names of those who turn away from you will be listed among the dead. They have deserted you. So Jesus is, the people that are rejecting Jesus, the spring of living water. So they are the ones that were rejecting Jesus. So when Jesus is writing down, some theologians believe that they were writing down the names of the sins of the people that were there. And as people were looking at those, and Jesus was telling them, has any of you sinned? If you haven't, then stone her. So that's why the older ones began to back away, and then the younger ones. And before you knew it, there was no one there accusing that lady. No one accused her. So Jesus tells her, where are the ones that are accusing you? And she looks around and she says, no one accuses me. So and I don't accuse you either. Just go and sin no more. You see, the point of Jesus in all this, okay, it's that he doesn't care about the people that are accusing you. He doesn't care about the people that are trying to bring you down. He doesn't care about any type of reputation that you think that you may have. Because remember, our mind plays games on us. Our minds are the ones that are constantly telling us, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of Jesus' love. I'm not worthy of his forgiveness. There's no way Jesus can forgive me. I've fallen so many times. Look at in these times of anxiety, I've made the wrong decisions. I did things I told Jesus I wasn't going to do anymore. And the devil wants to beat you down with that. Okay? He wants to say, you see, he's the accuser. He loves accusing you because he wants to seek your death and your being destroyed. That's what he wants. The Bible says that he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Nothing good does he want. And I want to tell you something that people don't normally say. The devil is beautiful. The devil does not come with horns and a pitchfork, ever. No. The devil comes in the most beautiful forms. So it's hard to say, to look at something and automatically come to the conclusion that that is the devil, that is bad for you, And that's why Carl Lentz and this other woman were able to get entangled so fast, because they were very attracted to each other. Maybe it wasn't just physical. Maybe it was their personalities. Maybe it was, they were both very artistic and who knows what, The devil takes many forms, but it's not someone who you're going to shy away from or be afraid of, Otherwise, it would be so easy to stay away from him. No, but if you knew it, he is beautiful. He is very tempting. He comes in ways that you find yourself and you're like, how did I get into this? But if you think back, it looked innocent. It didn't look like it looks now, does it? It's just something that really drew us in because it wanted to destroy us. So the beautiful thing is that here as well is that we learn in the Word that Jesus never ever broke the law because he didn't stone her. On the contrary, the law said they needed witnesses. There weren't any, so she wasn't stoned. It's just, riddle me that, Batman. It's like, wow, Jesus, you were just so perfect. You're just so magnificent. It makes you fall in love with Jesus more and more every time you read his word. And I hope that, that this experience, if you've had a bad experience in a church, if you've had, a bad experience in any area of your life, and you don't know how to get up, I want to tell you that Christ died so that you could have everlasting life, so that you can enjoy your life, okay? Enjoy it, not just live it, not just, day by day, take it one day at a time. He wants you to have joy in it. He wants you to really enjoy your life, and Mary Magdalene was a person, and they call it, I think they call it like the 13th apostle, because she was there for Jesus. She was the one who financed Jesus, ministry. Yet she had 7 demons. She had 7 demons in her, And do you think it was easy for her? After Jesus rose from the dead and she started walking around with the disciples, people pointing at her and saying, hey, isn't she the one that had 7 demons? It's hard to get up. It's hard to get up when people know that you fell. It's hard to gain that credibility again. But don't think about the people. Think about Jesus. Think about the chance that he has given you and the love that he feels for you, because it hasn't changed. And I want to read you a verse before I say goodbye. And please listen to this, because this is God telling you this today, okay? And this is in Psalm 72, and it says that people who are in need will cry out and he will save them. It says that he will save those who are hurting. They don't have anyone else who can help them. He will take pity on those who are weak and in need. He will save them from death. He will save them from people who beat others down. He will save them from people who do mean things to them. Their lives are very special to him. Our lives are very special to God, and nothing is beyond his control. So forget about who says what the news are saying, what anyone else. Take away all the negativity that's around you. If you feel like you're falling into old patterns again, do what you did the first time to get rid of them, okay? Stop looking in your computer, on sites that you shouldn't be looking at, in your phone as well, music that you shouldn't be listening to. Get rid of anything that makes you anxious and wants to smoke or drink. Lose those numbers of people who were not any blessing to you, those numbers of people, of those friends who made you fall, who make you want to say, hey, let's party, or get into trouble. Just do it for yourself. Do it for your relationship with Jesus. If this wouldn't work, if this was all fake, like a lot of comments that I read, there I have comments and people tell me, oh yeah, go with your imaginary friend. Well, let me tell you, this is not an imaginary friend. If Jesus wouldn't have worked in my life, if he wasn't real in my life, I wouldn't waste my time in telling you all this. But he was real in my life. He's done so many beautiful and wonderful things. And please, I want you to see my description box, because I want you to take seriously everything that God has put me through. And I've come down, I've come out shining, no matter what's come my way. He has been with me to the highs and the lowest of lows. He's never failed me, and he will never fail you either. God bless you.